Hello, before we get started, let us first introduce ourselves. I'm Claire Gilroy-Scott.
And I'm Katie Dyers. We are both solicitors in the employment team at the city law firm Goodman Derrick. We ran a survey last summer to find out how businesses were actually using social media. Unsurprisingly, we found out that 96% of businesses had a presence on at least one social media site, with Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook being the most popular forums. Social media has really become embedded in the workplace, but are employers' policies and practices keeping up? To help you understand and address the employment law risks associated with social media use, we have created a series of podcasts to help employers.
This is part 3B, which is a closer look at case law related to social media dismissals. In this session, we will look at two cases which involve threatening social media posts. Check out part 2 for an overview of the relevant law on what makes a dismissal fair, and part 3A for information on the right to privacy and freedom of expression. In the case of Trasler and B&Q, the tribunal had to consider the issue of allegedly threatening posting. The employee's Facebook posts referred to doing something he'd regret and doing some busting. Trasler had a public Facebook profile. He had some 200 Facebook friends, around 45 to 50 of whom were colleagues from B&Q. During the disciplinary proceedings, Trasler showed no remorse, but he had been employed for 4 years with a clean disciplinary record. He was dismissed by B&Q because the posts were contrary to their policy.
The tribunal held in this case that it was not reasonable for the employer to conclude that there was a threat to business, or that the employment relationship was sufficiently undermined. Whilst there had been a technical breach of the policy wording, it was key that no one really felt threatened in these specific circumstances. However, contrast this to the next case.
Yes, here the result was very different. The employee in this case made some references to his work as being like Dante's Inferno. After he discovered that a colleague had reported him, he then made posts about being knifed in the back and, as set out on the slide, eat cake, etc., and next it's action. The colleague who had reported him considered the later posts to be threats directed towards her. She felt intimidated, vulnerable and isolated. Mr. Weeks also made it abundantly clear that he would not change his ways and that his employer could not control his personal life.
In this case, the dismissal was fair in the circumstances. The tribunal held that the final threatening post was of itself sufficient to justify dismissal. It was a cruel and vicious comment which caused her to feel intimidated and genuinely frightened.
By way of reminder, we've set out on the following slides a summary of factors that the tribunals are looking at in considering whether an employer has been reasonable in dismissing in social media cases. So, has the employer made reasonable investigations and inquiries?
How offensive or serious were the comments that they made?
How many posts were there, and how many could and did view them?
Was it a breach of policy or guidance, or even a contractual term?
Is there any evidence of actual reputational damage caused?
Was there damage to the employment relationship?
Did the employee have a good employment record?
And did the employee apologise?
Was there any damage to the client relations?
And were there any other mitigating circumstances?
You may be interested in Part C, where we will go through some more social media dismissal cases, this time dealing with fake sickness absences and offensive comments by employees.
Thank you for watching, but just before we go, no social media session would be complete without us sharing our social media presence with you. So please do follow us on Twitter at @EmpLawHeroes and connect with us on LinkedIn. Please also get in touch should you need any employment law assistance, as we would be happy to help.
And do check out our other podcasts for more information about social media in the workplace. Bye for now.